E360 TV proudly presents messages of inspirational stories. Live streaming now to millions of devices, including Roku, Apple TV, Amazon Fire TV, Android TV, YouTube Live, Facebook Live, with your host, Donna Guinois, producer and host, Jim Grant, producer and host, along with Michaela Vidal, administrator and host, and Gaia Guinois Balconi Wada, editor-in-chief. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the show. My goodness gracious, we are so glad to be here because the messages of inspirational stories is proudly brought to you by the good folks at the Hometown Good News Magazine. And we also want to mention our good friend, Mr. Bill Heinrich, the 7 levels of truth. Make sure I get that in there right. And I'm not real good with cameras and holding things up in front of cameras because I can't see through the book. But Mr. Bill Heinrich, the 7 levels of truth. Bill spent 30 years of his life being able to actually find out what life is about, how to unclutter his life. He walked away from his life 30 years ago. Emerson, I guess you know Bill's story as well as I do, don't you? And Bill just says, I was miserable. He had just lost his wife to cancer, and he was just lost. He gave up drinking, and he just decided he was going to go on a journey to find himself. And he did. And because Bill discovered what's very unique is that, you know, the Judeo-Christian Bible talks about it. There's a gentleman by the name of Earl Nightingale who talks about it in The Strangest Secret. Bill, in his book, there's only 2 basic feelings or emotions on planet Earth. There is fear, and fear is all physical. That's all the negative things in life that we do not want or need in our life, like hate and jealousy and so on, and greed and etc. And the other thing is love. Love comes from the universe. Love in abundance has no limitations at all. All of the physical things are limited, but all of the love and abundance that the universe offers is like the sunlight. If you're standing in the sunlight and then 100 people come around you, provided they don't block the sunlight in your shadow, but I mean, they cannot absorb all the sunlight and rob you of your sunlight. That's a good way of looking at it.
Light and of course the Judeo-Christian Bible is full of these examples, but light always overcomes darkness. If your lights are on inside your house and you open the door, it doesn't get darker inside. Light spills out. Light is a higher, more powerful than the darkness. And I like to tell people this. You know, nowadays there's an awful lot of people yammering on about, you know, their point of view and what they think is wrong with everything and who's to blame and what's going. It's like, you know, my mother used to always say this: it's better to light one candle than curse the darkness.
Amen.
What are you doing to light one candle? And you know, that's the challenge. It's easy to curse the darkness.
Yeah, it's kind of like
light is more powerful. We've been told, don't put your light under a bushel, let your light out. Let your light out into the world.
Yeah.
So
I love to go to these.
That's something that in our own life, the thoughts and things that we entertain in our own mind. Let's let the light shine.
There you go. Forgive me for interrupting you there. I'm trying to jump in. I get excited sometimes, ladies and gentlemen, and interrupt an intelligent gentleman speaking there, Mr. Emerson Brantley. He's our director of marketing, and Emerson loves to be here as much as I, and he just really, he literally does shine on TV. But I love to go to these Christian functions where one candle is lit, and in the audience, everybody has a candle, but it's not lit. And that one flame course, when you get ready to light your candle, you turn yours sideways and the flame is here. And it lights that candle and it passes on and passes on. And that one candle lights up everybody else's candle. And it's a beautiful time. It's just a beautiful scenario because it's all dark except for that one candle. And everybody can see that candle, no matter if they're way in the back or whatever. But it's so important to be able to.
The lesson there is, the lesson too in that is, Jim, is understanding quantum leaps, understanding how the universe actually works, understanding how your life can go from here to here in a matter of very short period of time. And it doesn't, if you have, say, 1,000 candles and it takes you 10 seconds to light one, it doesn't take 1,000 times 10 seconds to light all 1,000 candles.
That's right.
They begin to spread, and one lights 2, then you have 2 lighting 4, and it's an exponential. It's quantum. It's a quantum leap.
Oh,
and when we begin to see the quantum potential, and not just the one step in front of the next step in front of the next step, growing 5% a year in a business, but we start to see, if we go from here to here, then we can go to here. That is amazing to witness with the candles, because like you said, it'll start with 1, and there's 2, and then there's 4, and it grows from there.
Oh, yeah. And we're going to get into a little bit of the national holidays in just a second, but I just want to mention on the marquee there, you'll see The Strangest Secret by Earl Nightingale. And he will make a comment in there that no matter what you asked, it's already yours because the universe cannot deny you or say no. And that's very, very important. And see, what's amazing about true statements like that, ladies and gentlemen, is that not only did Earl Nightingale say it because he found that to be true in his life, not only did Bill Heinrich say it in his book because he found it to be truth. The Judeo-Christian Bible is full of stuff like that. And everybody who really understands what makes a difference in this world, because if your focus is on how you can bless others first, you will be blessed yourself. You must love yourself first, then you can love others. Everything else starts falling into place for you.
Well,
because now you're out of the dark and into the light. Go ahead, sir.
There are loads of examples. You ask not, you have not because you ask not. It's the example of God literally speaking the world into existence.
Yeah.
That concept that he didn't spend lots and lots of time making all this. It's like he spoke it into existence.
Yeah.
Things begin here. Napoleon Hill. Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it will achieve. Yeah. The computer screen that we're looking at, the chair behind me, every single thing that we look at in our physical world, for the most part in our life, is something that started as a thought, as a concept, as a sketch out on paper, as somebody, safety pins, paper clips. I mean, anything you see, diamond-studded grills, all of the things in our life began because somebody conceived it, they believed it, and we could say they asked the universe. Well, it's not just they asked the universe went poof like a genie. Right. You ask, you're speaking it into existence, and now everything begins working and aligning. And suddenly you're seeing things you're not seeing. And suddenly you're meeting people that you might not have paid attention to before. And suddenly you're changing channels on the television and you're seeing something that helps you to, that's how I can do this. And all of these things begin to orbit and circle. You're aware of them. They were there before. That's really that concept. It's already there. There's nothing new under the sun, people say. There's nothing new.
And the way it comes, and this falls right into the category of the way we do shows, we don't pre-script anything. We get some ideas and stuff like that, but as far as saying, okay, this is first, this is second, that's third, we don't do that. And the reason why is because we understand the value of the power of the universe that shares information with us, that inspires us to say something, because there might be one person listening or watching us out there in TV land that needs to hear that. And if that's the case, we've been well paid for. And, another thing too, I wanted to mention real quickly before I forget, when it comes to us being able to share information with you, we know from our experience, and we can honestly say, when you're asked the universe for something, you're searching for something, the proof in the pudding is that how many times have you went to bed and you've been struggling with a problem, and you wake up in the morning and then the answer's there.
There it is.
And I believe, I explain that like this, Emerson. I say that gives a chance for my mind to get all this clutter out of my mind, all this dust swirling around in my mind. And now the universe can communicate with me. And that's my way of explaining it, right or wrong.
I have had so many times. I call it 4 a.m. wake up, It's so many times. And sometimes it'll wake me up.
Oh, yeah.
But other times I'll have to get up for other physical reasons, And lo and behold, that's what it is. That's how to do it. That's what we need to do. That's how we need to put it together. That's the piece that's missing. And your subconscious mind, let's take it out of, the airy. Some of the people go, yeah, that's really airy fairy kind of stuff.
Okay.
But your subconscious mind doesn't know reality from unreality.
That's true.
Your subconscious mind doesn't sleep. It's going on, and it's significantly more engaged than your conscious mind.
Yeah.
Voices, the things, the little things you're always thinking in the back, that's coming from the subconscious. So your subconscious mind is incredibly powerful.
Oh yeah, that's what keeps your heart beating and everything when you're sleeping.
It does everything. And just as a little challenge for you, if you've never tried this, write down some of the things that you're trying to come to a conclusion, trying to figure out, and just write them down. And before you go to bed, look at it. Or even write them down before you go to bed. And do that. Just do that for a few nights. And you will be amazed that the things that you have just wrestled with, suddenly it's like, of course.
Yeah. I got to share a couple of stories. The first one I'll say very briefly. Emerson, I think you were with us. I'm not sure. Down to Orlando, we were speaking, and Les Brown was there. Or you may have heard Les Brown speak, because you've been around him a lot more than I have at places. And he talks about the richest place on planet Earth is where. And I'm standing over there and I'm thinking, I don't know, Abu Dhabi. I mean, I know it ain't where I grew up. I didn't realize poor till we went to town. But he said the graveyard, the cemetery, because that's where you'll find all of the books that were never written, all of the dreams that were never dreamed, all of the inventions that were never invented. And he gave a great presentation on that. He really did. And
you've never seen a hearse with a hitch pulling a trailer full of stuff.
Yeah.
It's like all of that stuff is stuff.
That's the physical. That's one of the things that makes life worth living is really not physical. It really isn't money. Money, of course, we need it to survive, but it is a blessing in life. It's not the core of life. It's not the core value of life.
It's an abstract. And there's nothing wrong with looking at the money. But the money, and this is true for all of you people on a business.
Yes.
The money part of it, that comes. That's there.
Yeah.
If we raise our sights beyond the money, suddenly you take all of the limitations off. And that's why I always tell clients, you got to have something bigger than your business, your bottom line.
Mhm.
Like if something that you and I don't mean go and have a barrel in your waiting area. If you bring in a can of beans, you get 10% off on Thursday. I'm talking about something that you plant that flag in your life, in your business, and you say, this is part of our value. This is part of who we stand for. This is what we support. This is what we believe we want to see happen to
Yeah.
improve the lives
Yeah.
of people. And you make that something that is part of your brand, basically. You
Yes.
take a stand in it. And I'm going to back off just a bit there. Because I've seen some ugliness in all of that too. I'm not talking about a stand where you're doing something to alienate and to hurt or any something. I'm talking about or to separate yourself. I'm talking about things you're going to do to improve your community, to improve the lives of veterans, of children, of teachers, of medical workers and first responders, of people with disabilities, whoever, whatever it is in your community.
Diseases, whatever,
diseases. But you take a stand and say, this is part of who we are. It's who we are, and we feel like it's important enough, and you share that every opportunity you can.
Yeah,
it
that's a great
brand.
Yeah, that's a great way because that attracts like-minded people to you, to that's like-minded you. And I'd like to say, if I may, with the 6-minute webinar that we're part of, and Emerson, I know you've heard this too. You ask someone, what is it you want to do? I want to make some money, And that's, you look at it from that perspective. What if someone is applying for the job and he goes in to see the personnel officer there or the person interviewing him and says,
why do you want this job?
Yeah, I want a paycheck.
Right. There you go.
That's the same analogy. It's on that same level because it's all about me and money. And, if you really, because let's think about it. Money is the reward for your efforts.
It's a reward.
Yeah, a reward. And whenever you invest, when someone invests with you for your product or your service or whatever you offer, the money that they pay you, that's a reward for your hard work and what I call sweat equity. That's important. It really is.
Well, and you think you like to tell the story of the first day in the marketing training that I did. It's when I say we want to repel as many people as we can, the whole concept there is what you're looking for are like-minded people, people who want to make the world better, people who want to help, people who that cause that's important to them.
Yes.
It's not just oh, that's nice. How much is it? Oh, so and so has it cheaper over here. No, it's something that you're attracting like-minded people when you're doing that. And now, so many business people that I talk with, what you were saying earlier, what do you want? Just not, man, I want a paycheck. Well, so many business people, it's like I'm all about the bottom line. What's the bottom line? What 3 bids? What's the lowest bid? And it's always about that. But I'm a big believer. In fact, as you know, Jim, I'm on the board of directors of the United States Green Chamber of Commerce. I'm a big believer in creating things that are sustainable, sustainable business. And that means what they call the triple bottom line: people, planet, and profits. So what's good for your people is good for your company. What's good for the environment, your city, your town, other areas of the environment. What's good for that is good for your company. And the profits, you've got to make a profit. That's good for the company. But if you get them out of balance, and you're knocking down the profits, all the shareholders are happy and everything else, but your people are miserable because the culture is bad, because it's something that's destroying their families. That's that imbalance. That's that disconnect.
Mhm. Yeah.
If you figure you're really smart, and instead of paying, to dispose of the hazardous waste that you got, you do what a truck did in my own neighborhood one night, because I was out walking my dog the next day, and they literally had a truck, had opened the valve on the truck and driven all through the neighborhood with something that they would have had to have paid to have legally
Dispose of it. Oh, wow.
Now,
I can imagine what that was.
I have no idea. I'm not going to touch it. I don't want to, but the thing is, all of it's dumped on the street.
Mm.
You can see the trail all down the street. When the rain comes, where does it go? Goes into the water. Now, what have they done? They've created a polluted waterway where we had a beautiful waterway, and I happen to live near one of the tributaries, at the tiny end of one of the tributaries, and springs to the main river, the St. Johns River. Yeah. So what goes around does come around.
It has domino effect.
Planet profits. They call that the triple bottom line, and that is being a sustainable business. It's more than just me, my, our, us, and nobody else.
Yeah, you're exactly right. We've been a little slow on getting to the national holidays because Emerson has a story about North Fork, and I haven't heard it yet. Roanoke. See there, I told you I hadn't heard it.
Roanoke, Virginia.
But today, ladies and gentlemen, today is National Chicken Finger Day. Oh my goodness, that's a nice little snack and stuff. It's very popular fast food.
I've never seen a chicken with a finger.
You haven't? Well, you haven't been living right, Emerson.
Never seen chickens with fingers.
Yeah, because it's a wonderful dish. I mean, I love chicken fingers. I do. Raising Cane's is one of the favorite places I need to go, and we don't get anything for mentioning them on the air. But they say the first chicken finger was made in 1974, and first time in Manchester, New Hampshire. It doesn't say who did it, but just said they were made. And fingers over nuggets was voted. Fingers were more popular than nuggets back in 1980s. And then Raising Chicken Fingers, Todd Graves established a chicken finger restaurant called Raising Cane's. And a day for finger licking good was established back in 2010. And guess who established this? Raising Cane's. There's a marketing story in there, Emerson.
Amazing. Well, and chicken fingers in the restaurant business. And now when I go to the grocery store, you can find it. They refer to them as chicken tenderloins as well, and it's that one strip of meat on the breast of the chicken. And so there was two of them on the breast of the chicken. That's the tenderest meat on the entire bird, and that's what they make chicken fingers out of. Well, original chicken fingers. I don't know.
Sure.
If they're all made out of that. That's the tenderloin of the chicken.
Emerson's going to tell us a little bit about the National Roanoke Day and his story. But before we do, I want to mention, too, that today is the National Love is Kind Day. Oh, my goodness. That is something that we crave, ladies and gentlemen. As social creatures, we can't live without love. And true love is always kind. It's always forgiving. And it's always, if it's true love, it's unconditional love. It's the sweetest thing on planet Earth. And when I'll just tell this little side story. When I went through my experience in the hospital with the open heart surgery, when I was told that the stents that were going to put in my heart wouldn't work, I had to have open heart surgery, I had to have bypasses. I just said, well, it's in your hands. If it goes well, I go home. If it doesn't go well, I'll still go home. I was immediately encapsulated in a place of love and safety and security. And I'm not going to go into all the details, but it was like this. When you go into a room and you turn on the light switch that in a dark room, you flip on the lights, the light instantly goes everywhere, right? And I knew instantly everything, that I was safe, I was secure, the surgery would go well. Yada. I knew all of this instantly. And it also let me know that it was eager to come and let me know that I was loved, I was safe, I was secure. And I can honestly say, I really believe that that's just a snap, just a little sliver of a moment that I spent there. It was a few seconds. But if that's what eternity is like, it will never, ever, ever grow old, because that was the sweetest feeling I ever felt in my life. I knew that nothing could touch me, nothing could hurt me. And it's a sweet, sweet, sweet feeling. And it also let me know that in in the reasoning of my mind, I was thinking, okay, I got people praying for me. I'm okay. We label that as faith, right? But really, what it let me know I was doing is kind of like I saying, okay, I got this. I got this.
It's an amazing, amazing place to be in.
Rather than humbling humbling myself, because that kind of goes against our grain, to say, hey, without the Creator, we're nothing, and with the Creator, we're everything. And but I didn't realize I was doing that. That shows you how smart I am.
If you were created in the image of God, then you sure ain't nothing.
Well, yeah. You know what I mean. Yeah, I realize that, but you know what I mean when I say that, because
I hear people say stuff like that. It's like, okay.
Well, yeah, but when you're in the frame of mind like I am, like, I got people praying for me. I'm okay. I can survive this. I can do this. It let me know that I was holding it back, because I had not just said, just released everything to it, because we reason that in our mind. And if you look at the history of the world, especially in the Judeo-Christian, we see that Eve, who had a perfect mind, reasoned in her mind about how good the fruit looked and what it would do for her and all that. We see what a train wreck that turned out to be. So there's a lesson.
Not only that, when old Adam got involved, God comes around and says, hey, what's going on with the fig leaves? Adam says, the woman. It was the woman you gave me.
That's funny, because
talk about taking responsibility. Excuse me, Adam. I think I said you were in charge of my garden, and you're trying to blame.
Oh, her. I crack up at that, because he says, why were you hiding? He says, I was naked. Who told you were naked? He said, it was the woman you gave me. It's your fault. And then Eve says, well, don't look at me. It was the serpent. You made.
Everybody's doing this.
Oh, my goodness. But most importantly, ladies and gentlemen, when it comes to love, is always kind. Always remember that true love is kind, it is forgiving, and it is unconventional. I mean, just unconditional. It really is. It's unconventional too, because a lot of people look for love like that song, looking for love in all the wrong places. Yeah. In all the wrong ways too.
Or as Eddie Murphy put it, wookin' panub.
Yeah.
Wookin' panub.
But now, ladies and gentlemen, drum roll time. It's time for us to hear about the great, the great city of Roanoke. Tell us about Roanoke, the National Roanoke Community Beautification Day, And you have a story about Roanoke. Go.
Before we do, I think we should honor National Korean Veterans Armistice Day.
Oh, yes, I forgot that. Thank you, sir.
I'm a veteran. Kind of fun.
Mm-hmm.
But there are over 5 million veterans who served. And that's also one of the forgotten wars.
Yes, Korea was. It sure was. And for you folks in other countries, you should honor your veterans too, because they followed the call of duty. They really did, because people don't start wars. It's governments.
It is.
And I've often said we could all be rich if we got smart and says, okay, we'll take the leaders of our country and you take the leaders of your country. We'll put them in a boxing ring. We'll play some bets on them and we'll see who wins. And, and then the winner's got to take the rest of us poor boys out for supper or something, But really, realistically, keep in perspective that governments start wars. Men and women don't. The average people don't.
But the people who are sent are not the ones who start them.
Mm-mm. Not at all. So please honor your veterans. It's the right thing to do.
And many of the ones that are still alive still have a lot of wounds that are healing.
Yes, they do.
It's
They
not
were,
something that just ends
yeah,
when they get on the boat or get on the
yeah,
plane back.
yeah. They were like us Vietnam veterans. You know,
Yes.
we come home. We were in a GNC status, which means you got nothing coming. Don't ask.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not going to get any sympathy from anybody. The young people of that time thought we were the problem. We were the ones that started the war and whatnot. But anyway, it's a great thing to thank someone for their service because they answered the call of duty. And that is a high honor for a person to serve in the military for the defense of their country, for what they believe in, their social life, their religious beliefs, all of that. I respect that. I really do. So now you're going to tell us about Roanoke.
And that is important. And that's something on an individual basis, doing it, taking the time when you're in the grocery line or wherever. Just take the time.
Yes.
Because, again, as Jim put it, they don't start the wars. And when they're wearing the uniform,
they're the ones put their lives on the line, ladies and gentlemen. They're the targets to get shot at. It's no fun.
The TV series MASH, which of course was about the Korean War, or placed in the Korean War, was made about the Vietnam War that you were in, Jim.
Yeah.
Without it being in that present day, they were using that one to address the things that you were having to deal with in real time there.
Yeah.
And they could do it because this was the history. This was a historical thing in the past. They could talk about the decisions. They could talk about the frustration of the people, the scars, the challenges, all of the things that you were expected to do, and not having necessarily the adequate supplies or the adequate training or the adequate time or anything else, or support, from other levels. And so honoring these veterans, the World War II veterans are almost gone.
Oh,
the Korean veterans are just a few years behind them.
Yeah.
So,
and we're not too far behind him either. I'm going to be 74 in August, so don't slow down, guys. We're coming. We're right behind you. We got your back.
So Roanoke, Virginia. Today
Let's hear this.
Today, that is National Roanoke Community Beautification Day. Now, it was actually started by a regional developer a few years back, and it became an official holiday. This recognized in the city, and they do different things. But I have a personal history with Roanoke, and a couple of the things about Roanoke, Virginia. It was a transportation center. I mean, it was a major center at the turn of the last century. And it has some beautiful historic areas. The Hotel Roanoke, I'll tell you about in a minute, was a massive hotel, and it was built on top of a rail station down underneath it. But a couple of the things around Roanoke, they have 100-foot high star on the highway coming in if you're driving in to Roanoke from the west. And that star has been there for many years, and it has red, white, and blue neon. And it used to change colors for the weather, depending on what the weather was going to be, and glow red if there was a death on the highway. Not sure if they still do, all of those different things. But it's a huge, huge star. You see it from if you come in at night, you see it from miles and miles away. The other thing is a natural bridge that's just a few miles outside of the town, and it is such an iconic bridge. My father, I just thought of this after we started the show, Jim. My father, way back in the day, actually worked for an insurance company for a time, which was called Life of Virginia. Life of Virginia. And that natural bridge was their symbol on all of their cards and all of their stationery and everything else. So I'm going to tell you my own little personal story about Roanoke, and then we can move on. When I was in college in Tallahassee, I actually had met a girl that's the summer before and had a long distance relationship with her, and she lived in Roanoke, Virginia. And so for Thanksgiving that year, I piled into a Ford Pinto with 3 other people, and we trekked all the way up. They were going to Washington. They were going beyond it to Washington, D.C. They dropped me off there, and I was there for that whole week with her and her family. And I should I tell the story about the drive shaft part? No.
Yep. I got to hear more about this.
Okay,
I mean,
okay. So on this trip up here, a bunch of college students, the drive shaft, a pin drops out of it or something, and all of a sudden we don't have any drive, and we hear this horrible scraping, and we pull this little Ford Pinto over, and the drive shaft was just hanging on the ground. And I'm the least mechanical of anybody, but I was the most mechanical of this group. And so I got up under there and I said, we got to find something we can tie it up with. Well, the only thing that we came up with, one of the girls said, I've got pantyhose. And so they all took off their pantyhose, and I tied up this thing so we could get up to a gas station about 5 miles away, a truck stop, and get this thing repaired. But it was quite an adventure.
Oh, I bet so. And, Emerson was so kind to tie those, take the pantyhose and tie that drive shaft up where it wouldn't be dragging on the ground and all that. And, it's just a...
There was one more little Roanoke story. In the Hotel Roanoke at that time, there was an automated radio station, or TV, radio station. And they had big cassettes or carts, tapes, and this thing would move them around, and they could program it. And this was real early in all of that. And I was in communications. I worked at a radio station and television station at that time. And so I was real interested. I'm looking through the glass door, and the guy inside sees me, and he comes over and he opens the door, and I explain that to him. And so he's walking me through. He's showing me all of this state-of-the-art, beautiful stuff in this gorgeous hotel. The Hotel Roanoke was beautiful, beautiful hotel from the turn of the previous century. Had an entire rail station at one time underneath it.
Wow.
So he's showing me all of this, and I actually wrote a short story about this when while I was still in college. He's showing me through all of this, and at the end of it, I said, "What kind of music do you play?" And he looked at me like I was from another planet and said, "Beautiful music."
Duh.
Those of you who remember or have ever listened to elevator music, basically, it's the stations that they basically run these kind of background kind of music. And that was what this entire station programmed. But he looked at me like, "Is it the only kind of music there is? It's beautiful music." But it was a really, 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 really neat trip.
Oh yeah.
So hats off to Roanoke.
Yeah. And the day is National Pantyhose Day, so
It is. No, it's not.
in Roanoke. I just had to throw that in there.
Had
to throw you a curveball.
Now, don't get your pantyhose in a wad.
Yeah.
That's one of his favorite sayings.
Oh, yeah. Well, ladies and gentlemen, as we started off this show today, we started talking about, the end result of living an abundant life and the joy and the jubilee in it and the peace and harmony. And one of the things that you can do to declutter your life, to clean up the cobwebs of your thinking, is that if you're serious about decluttering your life, you need to start and take an honest look at yourself and the behaviors that become very habits in your life, probably bad habits, I should say. And what habits or what kind of a pattern have you fallen into that really consumes a lot of your time, and you're too lax to do the things that you know that needs to be done. I think we can all fall into that trap, can't we, Emerson?
Oh yeah. Yes.
It's so easy. It's so easy to pick up your phone and read a message or read something on Facebook and then look at something else on Facebook. And that is such an easy rabbit hole to go down. When I'm busy working on something, a lot of times I don't mute my phone. I shut it off. Because somehow or another, with the muting and all that, if I get a message, ding, and then I go, I got to look at it, right? But if it's off, off is off. And that takes discipline, because you've got to make up your mind how much you want to declutter your mind, how much you want to focus on getting something done. Because if you don't do it now, when are you going to find time to do it? Because
I found myself defaulting to piles of stuff.
Mhm.
Now, as a marketing person,
Mhm.
keeping old campaigns and pieces and things like that is important. I do go back to them, but I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about a default. When I'm really, really busy and in the midst of something, it's like my default is I don't have time. And when I'm not busy, my default is I need to be looking for or dealing with clients or whatever. I need to be doing stuff over here. So in both cases, it allows that clutter, and it can be overwhelming. It can create overwhelm in your life because you have to. I have to. I'll put it in first person. Okay. I have to physically touch each and every piece and make a decision on each and every piece.
Mm-hmm.
And that by itself can be overwhelming. And you can get lost.
Oh,
You
yeah.
get lost in let's remember, you know? You can,
Mm-hmm.
oh, I didn't know I still had these pictures. Oh my God. Oh, look at this letter. Oh my gosh. I forgot she wrote that letter. And you
Mm-hmm.
can just get, oh, that article. God. Oh, that was such a,
Mm-hmm.
and you sit there and you read it or you look at it or you, and
Mm-hmm.
it's a challenge.
Mm-hmm.
It is a
It really is.
challenge.
Sure. It's like I used to get up and make my list of things and all that. And what I did that was wrong, that was harmful to me, that was short-sighted to me, was that at the end of the day, I did not give thanks for what I got done.
Mm,
I got aggravated at what I did not get done.
yeah.
And that is, that is unnecessarily punishing yourself rather than rejoice in the things that you got done, considering you got pictures to look at, you got messages to read, you got okay, I didn't know. Some news flash pops up. Okay, what's weather going to be like
Or
today?
one of those pages that's got 20, one of those things that has some clickbait kind of a headline and a picture of something. You
Oh,
click on it and it's like next slide, next slide, next slide, so they can
oh,
rack up the number
I
of
hate
views.
those.
Oh yeah,
I hate those.
talk about
I
time
hate
suckers.
those.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, yeah. And when I run into those, I don't have the patience for them. I just go,
No,
well,
I don't either.
it's, I'm out of here. I pull my Shania Twain trick on them. I'm out of here, like the lyrics of her song. But when it comes to decluttering your life, it's important for you to pick and choose what is important to you, what will
Right.
improve your life, what will make you happy. Because above all things, you're entitled to love yourself, you're entitled to live a life of abundance, and no one can take that from you. No one, but you can easily give it up and surrender it if you choose. And a lot of
It
people
is.
have done that in their life, and it makes their life miserable because, Emerson, I think deep down inside, people know that they were born to enjoy love and the abundance of life. And when you forfeit that, you just feel so, I could be wrong, but the way I look at it, you feel like you just cheated yourself out of the true riches of life. And that's the way I feel about it.
We become caretakers of stuff,
Oh, gosh, yes.
and that's it's like having a full-time second job that's
Mhm.
constantly interfering with the main things in your life that you want
Mhm.
and need to be doing
Oh,
and the
yeah.
people that you need to be spending with.
Mhm.
It steals those minutes and hours from the people
Mhm.
that you want to be with.
Mhm.
And it just we become caretakers.
Mm-hmm.
and it can become overwhelming. And we can go through and decide that we're going to throw this away, we're going to file this, we're going to do this. All of that takes time too.
Yes.
And we lose. Let me go back to, it's better to talk in first person
Mm-hmm.
about this. And that's a gift, by the way, for everybody watching, to put it in first person for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But I lose precious minutes and hours and days
Yes.
with a job that doesn't pay me to be the caretaker of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And even if I declutter, which is what the core of what we've been talking about has been, even if I declutter, if we don't take the steps that Jim is talking about, the mental steps, mindfulness is another term that's used quite a bit these days. Being mindful, all we're doing is spending more time on the stuff, and we're not regaining our time by breaking the habits and patterns. And every new piece that comes into the house or into my office, the challenge I give myself is, what two pieces can I just dispose of, get rid of?
Mm-hmm.
And apart from just having a marathon decluttering, it's recognizing that the clutter doesn't just spontaneously recreate itself. It's coming into my life every day.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to not just declutter what's there, but I have to find the ways to stop that flow of the things that are just sucking life, sucking hours, sucking time. Because we have a limited number of minutes in our life.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
There's no guarantee of anything.
Mm-hmm.
There's no guarantee of tomorrow. There's no guarantee that you'll ever get through anything that you're trying to get through, time-wise, I'm saying. And to recognize that every minute is important. And it really is the core. And that's a lot of that's a lot of the core of the book, that you were holding up. But it's the core of the mindful concept of being in the moment. Being in the moment. Not in the past, not in what's going to happen, but right in the moment. And clutter is like an anchor. Yeah.
Yeah. It really is. And I would just recommend, this is something that I've done in the past, and I'm going to remind myself to do it again. Just pick one item that is negative, that takes away valuable time from you, robs you of your life, and working on getting it out of the roots of your mind, because let's be honest, there's a lot of chatter going on in our minds mentally. And all it does is just really, this mind chatter it's kind of like a whirlwind of dust up there. You can't really see things clearly because everything is spinning. It's super distractive. And when you cannot live the life that you're supposed to, and that means doing the little things in life, not the big things, the little things. And you get caught up in all this chatter and all this nonsense and these distractions, and you can't do the little important things in life, like remember to message a friend that's sick or call someone who is going through a tough time. Those things are important. And just work on getting rid of one thing. And I would recommend this. Don't say I'm going to get rid of one thing a day, because now you're putting parameters around it. Just work on that one thing until you've got it uprooted. Some will be easier than others. That way you're not putting additional pressure on yourself. Because many times we're our own worst enemy, at least I am. Sometimes I put too much pressure on myself. Like I said earlier, I make a list of things I'm going to get done today. I got this, and this. Okay, I got that done. I got that done. Well, I didn't get
Well,
this done. I
goal
didn't get
setting
that
has
done.
taught for decades. You got to put
Mhm.
time. You got to put a timestamp on it.
Yeah,
You make a commitment to it. It's like
yeah.
that's
That's all physical.
conceptually. I get it. That's good. But the
Mhm.
reality of life is, life doesn't just work because of that.
Mm-mm.
I mean, life is not. It's sort of like everybody fighting about whether or not and let me say this, and it's not being political here, but
Okay.
about the virus. I'm so done with this virus. I'm so done. It's like, that's great.
Mhm.
The virus doesn't care. So I make my plan. I throw the dart at the wall. I write it down on the calendar. On my
Mhm.
bathroom mirror. Guess what? Life is what's happening all the
Mhm.
time. And that voice that we have inside. Jim started us out talking about fear and love.
Mhm.
If you look at almost anything in your life, including this topic, but relationships that you've had, situations at jobs, other challenges that you've had, challenges with your kids, when you look at any of that and the things that are often self-sabotaging, the things
Mm.
that hold you back, the things that are, I don't know why I said that. I don't know why I did that. That's just how I am. That's just how I am. Whatever those things are, you look at it and you drill down into it, and you start drilling down into it. And if you think of it like a bullseye, those things almost always are rooted in fear.
Amen.
It's fear. When you
Mhm.
were a kid, something scared you, you reacted a certain way, and it stopped, and your little childhood brain said, "Oh, that's what I have to do." And so you react. I have a fellow that I basically have had to just say, you know what, love you like a brother, but I can't have you around,
Mhm.
because he'll be just talking with you, and then suddenly just go off the handle about something because your eyes looked up at the ceiling or something, or you said something that he took personal offense at. Well, where does that come from? Something deep down, and it starts in fear. When you're walking
Mhm.
in love, when it's
Oh
love,
yeah.
it's a whole different story, because I am going to assume that you're not trying to hurt me. That you're not saying something to be mean to me. That you're not my enemy. That you're
Mhm.
not going to take advantage. I'm gonna walk in love
Mhm.
and not fear.
There you
In
go.
clutter, I'll say it for myself. Keeping stuff isn't about love.
Mm-mm.
Making stuff something that you have to spend hours and days of your life managing is rooted in some fear.
Mhm.
It's rooted there. I
Mhm.
don't. Somebody might be able to use this, or I
Sure.
don't want to waste this, or I. You know what? I'm glad. I need. I might need that. It's those little things. Those are rooted in fear.
Yeah.
If I'm speaking, I own it. I own it for
Oh, I
myself.
hear you. I'm the
But it's
same
not
way when.
rooted in love.
Yeah.
Love is that feeling that Jim was talking about.
Yeah.
It's complete trust and confidence. It's,
Mhm.
I'm not worried about it. It's, I can let go of it. My life
Mhm.
isn't going to end
Yeah.
if that happens. And loving it and releasing it.
Mhm.
Let me go.
I tell you, the best example I can come up to about what you were talking about there about fear is cleaning out the garage. We all know that's a JAWB. Okay. And I tell people always don't think about the task. Think about how you're going to feel when you get it done. But here's the challenge. What I think is treasures, my wife thinks is trash. You know, and I mean, I got to hang on to that. You know, I might need that when I'm 99. You know,
I know. And I remind myself a lot. You and I both had near-death experiences, and
oh yeah,
you know, if my daughters end up having to be the ones who do it, who go through it,
oh,
they're going to be pitching a lot of it. So why don't I make the decision? And first of all, I'm doing it out of love. I'm taking it off of them because they won't know what to do with it, and I'm getting it out of my life.
I got a perfect example for you, and I've struggled with this, and I've asked some of my other military brothers. My military uniforms, the old battle dress uniforms, the BDUs, the green, the woodland green, they call it. When I was instructor, my uniforms were always starched. My black the Cochrane jump boots that I wore had the bubble toe and the heels. They look like black glass. I've got those. And my uniforms, even though I've been retired since 2000 and when? 2004, they're in my closet. They are starched in plastic, and I just cannot give those things away. I just can't part from them for some reason. And guess what's going to happen after I die? My kids are going to say, well, you know, we ought to donate this or that, because my way of justifying it, I'm not going to give out to Goodwill or donate that to some clothing place, because some guy get out there and start changing oil in his car in my uniform, and I just, you know, I mean, you know, Emerson, I'm still struggling with that, brother, because, you know, it's part of my life. I got DNA. I got OD green in my DNA. How about that? Olive drab green is the color of the Army, OD green. So, and that's a war that I battle with. And my wife says, what are you going to do with those uniforms? No, I'll mumble some kind of an answer, because all I want to do is avoid that conversation.
Yeah.
And you know, and I'm just not there yet. I got to be honest. So I got to own it. So, you know, I understand when it's hard to give up something that you value in your life. And yet now, you know, those clothes are available in the Army surplus store. They're not issued to soldiers anymore because they've been outdated. What's it, 3 or 4 times now, or twice anyway. If I went walking up on a military installation dressed like that, they look like, who is this? Did this guy come out of a museum or what?
It ain't Halloween.
Hey, yeah. We got a walking mannequin out here, ladies and gentlemen. Boys, he's sure ugly. Oh, my goodness. Ladies and gentlemen, our time is gone, and we want to thank you so much for tuning in. We sincerely hope and pray that we have been able to say one thing or maybe 2 things to you to help inspire you to live the abundant life that you're so richly entitled to. Remember, everything that's physical, you can classify under fear, and it's limited to planet Earth. Let it go, because love will help you go and grow and enjoy the abundance of life that you are so richly deserve. You're promised that from the universe, from the creator of this universe. And no one can reach in and take that out of you, but you can freely give it up and become their slave. Emerson, we got about 29 seconds left, and I want to give you a chance to say a couple of closing words, if you would, sir.
Well, there's only one animal I know whose entire life is about pushing down around a big old ball of junk, and that's a dung beetle. And you know what? Everywhere it goes, it has to go backwards and with his hind legs up, pushing this big old ball of dung. And you're not that. Your life has so much more purpose and value, and people that you're gonna that are waiting for your voice to change their lives.
You bet. Ladies and gentlemen, we're definitely out of time. We got to run. We'll see you tomorrow. Take care. Bye-bye. Thanks for tuning in.